What is up, everyone? Wise out here, and we have yet another show for you today. I kind of wanted to talk about something that I get asked quite often, and people often ask me how like they actually want to get started in real estate, but they have no idea where to begin. So I'm gonna break it down. Okay, this is gonna be relatively vague. It might even be a series or something of that sort, where I'll kind of like explain like these 7 principles more in depth, and they aren't in any order. I just kind of wrote them down, things that I think are really important, and as videos go on I'll add more stuff, obviously. But okay, so the first thing that I think is so important that most people overlook when they're just trying to get started in real estate, whether it be you're an agent or you want to be an investor or whatever the case may be, I think it's really important to set a goal. Okay, sounds simple obviously, but trust me, it's a really big deal. You want to set a goal. So whether it be the amount of income you want to make, whether it be the number of properties that you want to acquire, but you definitely need to set a goal, because it's going to kind of guide you in terms of what you need to be doing and what you need to be learning. So that's kind of the first thing that I would suggest for you to do. If you are just starting out, you want to get started, right, is to just set a goal. How much money do you want to make per month, whether it's from rental income or from actually selling properties? And then also, if you're investing, how many properties do you plan to acquire per year? Okay, so that's the first one. The next one, okay, it doesn't matter what side of the coin you're going to do. Now, a lot of people are probably going to disagree with this, but I'm telling you from my own experience, I think it's important to get your license if you're going to get started in real estate, because that's actually why I got started in real estate. Okay, I got started because I knew I was going to wind up purchasing properties. Like I said in my first video, I mean, I kind of fell in love with real estate at a very, very, very young age. I was literally looking through newspapers and looking at listings and cutting listings out and putting them outside in front of my dad's door for him to look at, hoping that maybe he would put an offer on one of those properties one day. Okay, so I was kind of into this from a very young age. Also at a very young age, I had the means to be able to be on my own. I had relatives who were in the business who had access to like the MLS and things, and I would go in their office and use their access code to get on the MLS so I can look at properties for myself. So that's kind of what I did. I think it's really important to get your license, because what happens is you have way more tools than the average investor who doesn't have a license. You have access to the MLS, you have like other tools within the board. They also provide, along with the MLS, that you can use to kind of gauge and predict the way the market is moving. So obviously there's other tools that you can use. I mean, you don't technically have to get a license, but if you continue to follow the series that I put out and the rest of the videos I put out, I'll give you a little secret to show you how it actually is going to make a ton of sense if you just hold a license. Not saying if you're an investor, not saying that you have to actively represent other clients, but I think that it's important that you at least hold a license. Okay, so that's number 2. The next thing is going to be choosing the type of property that you want to, well, really just choosing the property that you're interested in. So there's 2 different types. It's residential and commercial. I do residential. Commercial would be like gas stations, laundromats, that kind of thing. You can definitely make money either way. I know people that make a lot of money doing commercial. I personally make a lot of money doing residential. I know people that make way more money than me too doing residential. So it just really depends on what route you want to go, what type of real estate you actually really like. I personally like houses. I'm not really too interested in commercial unless we're talking about multifamily. Anything above 4 units is considered commercial property, no longer residential. Okay, so that is the third. Okay, the fourth is going to be how to open and close a transaction. I think it's really important, if you're going to be an agent, to know what it takes to go from the opening of a transaction, as far as the paperwork that's involved in the whole process, to the very, very close, the recording and the cutting of the checks and whatnot. So you got to kind of know that process inside and out. It's so important, because if you're an agent representing other clients, it's going to allow you to be able to guide them and help them make the right decisions. If you're an investor, it's important to know that if you're not representing yourself, how to to know what part of the process you're at, so you can kind of gauge your next investment. Okay, so that's important. And another thing that's really, really important, okay, is going to be learning the art of ethical selling. I think that is so important. Most people, especially if you're going to be an agent, I think it's really, 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 really important to learn how to sell things. Okay, there's a ton of different people that, you know, are major when it comes to teaching people how to sell things. Me personally, I like GC, you know, a couple other cats that are like major, you know, in terms of selling, I kind of look up to. I think it's important that you need to learn how to sell, okay? Because you're gonna need to know how to do that for the agent side, and you're gonna definitely know how to sell, whether you think so or not, as an investor, because you've got to sell yourself to the other side, so the seller. So if you're an investor, you're a buyer, 9 times out of 10, but then you got to sell yourself to the seller as to why they should choose your offer over all the other offers. So at the end of the day, I mean, really, I think one of the definitions that I looked up for selling was leading people to a course of action. So that's simply all it is. So you want to be able to lead people in the right way. Okay, so that's that. Another thing that's really important, I actually was going to put this last, but I was like, let me not do that because it's so freaking important. You definitely don't want this to be last. But it's committing yourself 100%. It's so important to commit yourself 100%. You have to have that mentality going in that, hey, I'm in it for the long haul. I know that there's going to be ups and downs. You know, you have to have that mindset going in. I really should have put this first because it's like really, really important. You have to dedicate yourself 100%. People always think, oh, can I do it part-time? Starting out, no way. There is no way you can do this part-time. Real estate is a very, very, very challenging industry, just like most. You know, it's really challenging. There's no way you can do it part-time starting out. Just trying to help out and, you know, just save you the headache from the, you know, okay, so just from underestimating it. But what I'm going to say is you definitely can become part-time, if you will, at a later point. And it's only once you've done it full-time so much to where you know where there is those where there's that downtime, if you will, where you can be doing other things and you can be incorporating other things. And that's kind of literally what I'm doing right now, because I've discovered where the downtimes are in my business. Now I'm able to do stuff like this and put out content and deliver to you guys for free on YouTube. Okay, so that's that. And the next thing is going to be it's going to be just important. That's why I said this stuff is in no particular order. It's kind of just me, you know, just like blah, getting all my thoughts out. I'm actually looking at my screen right now too, because I have it written down. But so the next thing is going to be to learn your market, or learn a market, or be like me and learn a ton of different markets. It's so important because when I first got started, everybody wanted to tell me, oh, pick a neighborhood, you know, pass out flyers and da 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 da, you know, just pick one neighborhood and stick to it. I think that is a flawed way of thinking. Okay, let me tell you why. Because I can't tell you how many times where I've picked a neighborhood, I've done it. Okay, I said I'm only going to work in this neighborhood. Okay, I get a listing. I sell that house. Guess what? My seller has to, 9 times out of 10, what? If they're not moving out of state, relocate. So what does that force you to do? It forces you to now go and represent your seller as a buyer in a totally different market, right? So let's say, for instance, you know, they're going from Los Angeles to Orange County, right? So now I'm not saying that you want to go out and just try to learn a bunch of different markets, but what I'm saying is whenever you have a client that's searching in a certain market, I would say to just kind of check around and just kind of keep an eye on that market over time, because history repeats itself. In fact, it's happening right now. I have a client who they're selling their house. Well, we already sold their house here in LA. They're moving out to way out in Victorville, where I had another client who was in the same area where we sold their house. They did the exact same thing. They moved way out there. So good thing I know I kind of have an idea of that market over there, and I can kind of advise them a little bit differently than most people, you know, that just stuck to that one market. So I think it's really important to learn multiple markets. Not saying that you have to be like a jack of all trades or anything, but you just kind of want to have an understanding, a general understanding of other markets. Okay, so that's kind of it for this. It's just, you know, I just wanted to give you like 7, you know, fundamental things that you can take and just kind of at least, you know that if you know these things, you'll do well. Trust me, I can pretty much basically guarantee you that if you just focus on these 7 things, that you'll do fine in real estate. Okay, so that's it for this one, you guys. Stay tuned. Much peace, much love. And if you feel like you got some value from this, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're already subscribed, much love, much thanks, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right.